Yo, what is up guys? In this video I'm going to be breaking down a strategy and gameplay from a member of our community who is currently inside the top 1000 players so far in the solo series after the first 2 weeks. This player does a lot of strategic rotations with good timing, which you can learn a lot from and implement into your own game in order to place higher this week. If you do find this video helpful, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Let's get straight on into it. Okay, so starting off, the player that I'm going to be reviewing is called Prime Focus. Now he is around a 200 to 250 PR player prior to this tournament, and the reason why I'm viewing him is because he's a part of the community. Again, if you guys would like to be in a video just like this, then join the community Discord link. It's in the description down below. Now off spawn, Focus lands at Outlaw Oasis, which is quite interesting because he's uncontested here. As a whole, I think this POI is relatively forgotten this season as not many people seem to land there, so it could be a good option for you guys to contest in solos. Obviously, it does have a flag which you can claim to get extra loot, and one benefit of him landing here this game, as you guys can see, this highlighted up in gold, which means that not only off spawn does he have the entire POI's worth of loot to himself, which, let's face it, there is a decent amount of loot here. I mean, you could quite easily land a trio here with the amount of chests. So as a solo, he's pretty stacked. You guys can see not only does he just get the floor loot with the chest, but he also gets the extra ammo boxes, and he gets these sort of mythical chests right here, which give him extra loot. But as I was saying about the drones, as you guys will see when he comes outside, there's drones all over the sky, which he can shoot down and then get extra loot from. Now, the benefit of these is that it's going to give him a lot of healing. So if we look at his loadout right now, you can see he's already got 11 chug splashes. He's been in the game just a few seconds. That's 2 full stacks of chug splashes. Big pots a lot. Now, if I just 4x speed off spawn, what I like about what he does here is once he gets relatively stacked, just inside the game, he's been in the game 2.5 minutes, and look at his loot already. He's really stacked. He immediately then looks to, once he's got, again, most of the loot in the POI, go and get fast farming mats. Now, around this POI, there's a lot of these stones, and these stones are fast farming stone. Again, you want to know which bricks around your drop spot are fast farming because it allows him to save time. We can see he's already on 250 stone. He's got a lot of fast farming wood around his drop spot. So he claims the flag at the back of the drop spot. Again, might as well get the extra loot if he's here. He'll probably get his rank up pod in a second as well, as I've just seen that drop down. There you go. He can claim a little bit of metal from that, but not really. Here we can see he's just going to go around and farm up all the wooden stone to allow him to get to 5-5. Now, you might say, okay, this is great, but there's one slight problem with the drop so far. We can see he's got cap wood, cap stone, a brilliant loadout, but no metal. So how does he fix that problem? Well, interestingly, I don't know if you guys knew this, but all these roofs here on top of Outlaw Oasis are actually metal, and they're not only just little metal, they're really fast farming metal. You guys can see that if I 4x speed this, he's getting metal really, really fast. He's already up to 200, and he sits here for around 90 seconds until he gets to cap metal. Now, one benefit of him being uncontested is that he can just stay in his POI. You can see he has the whole POI to himself. So what he does is that over the 5 or 6 minutes at the start of the game, we can see that before he's even left the POI, he's capped all mats, got brilliant loot, lots of free shield, he's got the fizz that he needs, and he has a good loadout. Inside just the first 6 minutes of the game, there's still 71 people up. But there's one problem with this, and that's that he's now behind on rotation, you see. Because he's stuck in his POI, the zone is already pulled, and that's allowed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so players to get in front of him on rotate. So it's interesting to see how he's going to combat this in order to not get stuck at the backside of congested. So what he does is he hits the geyser. Now, I'm not going to lie, I would have liked to have seen him hit 5 fizz and use the geyser just to go a bit further. But obviously you can't play every game perfect, and the geyser does still give you a significant boost. But I just think with fizz, he would have been able to get deeper in the zone. And now what's interesting about this rotate is we see is he's located about here. So if he white lined straight towards Ranger's Ruin, he'd end up bumping into 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly even 5 players all around Ranger's Ruin, sorry. But if he goes too far south, he's going to come into the players rotating out of Canyon Crossing or Shogun Solitude. So where exactly does he go? I think he should go through the path of leaf resistance, which is straight through the middle around here, because what that allows him to do is dodge the players on the hill and obviously, dodge the players from Canyon Crossing. Now, it's easy for me to say that in replay mode because he doesn't know this in real time. So we can see as he's gliding in, he's scouting around, he sees this player go up the hill, so he knows not to go that way. And he'll know that this hill is likely to be pretty contested because it always is, obviously, from Ranger's Ruin. And this is where Vino went, obviously, in FNCS Globals. We can see he sees the people up on the hill. So what he chooses to do is cut in between the two and rotate through the base. Now, again, another play that I could have seen him doing right here is using 5 fizz and hitting the pad further right here and then rotating deeper into zone. But what we can see is a perfect example of POI clustering right here. We have a lot of players coming towards Canyon Crossing from Shogun Solitude. We have 3 players on the hill, quite a few players in Demon's Debris, same with Foxy Floodgate and Ranger's Ruin. Now, what that leaves is this massive hole in the middle, which is completely open to rotate to. And this is exactly where Focus goes. We can see him pop down the mountain and begin to run towards the mountain here. And again, I think this is a really good rotation because instead of just sitting on the edge of zone where he would have run into all of these players, you can see if he just rotated in and landed on the edge of zone and stuck around there, he could have got stuck with any of these players. But what he's done is rotate rotated in deeper. Now, annoyingly, we can't see where his little, like, arrow thing is on the map, but where he is around where my cursor is, and he's rotating up this hill. Now, by rotating up this hill, we can see that he gets into this dead space right here, and that puts him in front of all these players behind him. Now, this is a really smart rotate, and we can see that he continues this throughout the entire game. Yes, he gets tagged up a little bit, that is going to be inevitable, but he uses Fizz and continues to go deeper, even when the zone pulls pretty much onto where he is. In this situation, he could just stay on the edge and box up, which is what many players would do. You guys can see that's what 3 players do right here. But what's going to happen is these players behind them are going to end up coming on top of these players, and that's going to end up into a bit of a cluster, as you guys can see happening here on the backside of zone. So what Focus does is notices this and decides to rotate further and deeper into zone, which is 100% a smart play here as we see him enter Demon's Debris, which again keeps him away from all these players on the outskirt of zone that have to rotate in. You guys might be saying, why am I focusing so much on Focus's mid-game and his rotations? But if you look at the kill feed, he only gets his kills in endgame, and this is the perfect way to play these placement-heavy formats. So that's why I'm showing off his rotations, because it's clearly a strong point of his game. Now, I just wanted to include this because please always check your bushes, guys. I can't put enough emphasis on this. Obviously, he doesn't know there's someone in there because of replay. He takes one shot. Kellobot doesn't move. I believe he was probably AFK until he got tagged, in all honesty. But once he gets tagged, Focused again does now know he's in the book. That's why he's checked. You can see immediate reaction. Kellobot immediately looks to pressure on him. Now, he does actually get a bit of damage onto Focus. We probably should be blocking off our back here. Again, there you go. He ends up getting tagged. But it's easy for me to say Focus is a better player than me. I'm just reviewing his gameplay. He tags Kellobot back, and instead of pushing this fight, which would be pretty dumb when there's 60 players in the lobby still, so we haven't got any placement and we've been in the game 12 minutes, we just hit some Fizz and rotate away. And again, I really like this. I like it when we play defensive. You guys know that's how I'd rather play. Another quick one here, we just box up on the Slurp Water and Demon's Debris, allows us not to use our Chugs and Fizz, so a smart play here just to regenerate our health up. Now, I want to bring your guys' attention to this. So Focus is located in Demon's Debris, and there's not that many players around him, so you might say this is a good position to be. But me, when I'm thinking the Storm is going to close in and next zone is going to pull, where do we want to be in this zone? Me, personally, I don't think we want to be around the congested side. You see, we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These players from Foxy could even rotate into Demon's Debris. What I'd like to see Focus do is rotate around to the dead side of the map down here where this player is located, because he's going to get less fights down here, allowing him to get deeper in the game. And that's exactly what he does. You see, he combines Fizz with the pad, which is what I wanted him to do earlier with the geyser, and this puts him so high up into the air that he can basically pick anywhere out of the entire map to go. Now, of course, he doesn't know where the next zone is going to pull, but what he's doing is locating himself on dead side so he doesn't get into a mid-game fight at this time in the game, which is allowing him to play low-key. He simply refarms the stone right here and sits still. Now, he doesn't know that the zone is going to pull on top of him, but he ends up sat in this position for around 5 minutes. So now when we look, we can see that Focus is located at the bottom of the zone here. Now, yes, he does get a pretty fortunate zone pull to the south side. Even if he got a pull to the north side here, I'd like to think he could rotate around the right-hand side behind these players and still get in using Fizz. But what we can see is that because he's on the dead side of zone, he now can just sit here in his base. He doesn't have to do anything except for look 2 tags on our other players, because obviously it's pretty stacked lobby. Storm Surge could become a factor. But we can see this whole time he's not wasting any mats, he's not wasting any chugs. Meanwhile, all of these players from congested side of zone have to rotate in. Now, what I like about Focus's position right here is he's not just on the edge of zone, he's also a little bit deeper into the 6th zone right here. We can see that by positioning here, and again, he could even have gone out further, which is something maybe I would have done if I was in this position, but we can see all these players, if I just put it on 4 times speed and show you the map, all have to rotate in. Now, where do these players that are rotating in position? They always position along the edge of zone, because they can't get any deeper into zone because they don't want to waste the mats, they don't want to potentially get sprayed. So when we look at the map, we can see all these people rotating onto the edge of zone, and therefore it leaves a massive cluster. Now, yes, they get a fortunate zone pull, but had this pulled south again, Focus could have just rotated from his position down towards the water right here. But you guys can see, look at how congested it gets right here. Again, this is not where you want to be in these zones. You want to be deeper into the zone, away from all the congested players. But it's going to be interesting to see how Focus now rotates towards a massive cluster of players. Interestingly, it seems he relatively white lines it with Fizz. He almost died to full damage there because his Fizz ran out and he wasn't paying attention. But he staggers here with wood, and then he uses the Fizz, scouts his rotate, and sees that it's relatively open. In my opinion, this is a bit risky, and I think he's a bit fortunate not to get looked at by any of these players, but he manages to get really deep into zone here and just box into metal. Again, what I'm hoping now is that where he's rotated alongside all of these players is that when the zone opens up right here, he can rotate up into the backside of zone. And this is exactly why I wanted him to do that, because if you look at his position right here, he's still clustered in between a few players, but if he rotates into the backside of zone out here, look at how much space on this side of the map. You guys can see my entire screen right now, there's not a single player over here, and Drippy, in my opinion, has the right idea, rotating to the backside of zone, and so does Pluhitel right here, because they are just allowing themselves to get back into the space. Focus could have dropped all the way back here, and would you look at that? Look at where the zone pulls. The zone pulls straight to exactly where I was talking about. So all of these players now, you can draw a line across the entire lobby from here, and every single player bar 2 is behind this line. Now Focus is actually also behind this line, as you guys can see. So it's going to be interesting to see how he rotates this next rotate. If he would have gone early, he wouldn't have had this problem. But again, he wasn't to know where the zone was going to pull. It would have just been my suggestion. Now what he does is he looks to tap Fizz, and as he taps Fizz, he sees that players have padded out of this box right here. And this is really good awareness. He scans really well. I think Focus is playing this game incredibly smart with his rotates. Obviously, it could have been better, but no one is going to be perfect, and he doesn't know where the zones are going to pull. Now, what he sees is he sees this pad, and he taps a little bit of Fizz. He breaks out the floor right there so he can get a low pad, and now is the time he goes deep. And this is what I wanted him to do earlier. He goes deep into the zone, again, because this allows him to get further in. So if we have a look, Focus is now one of the deeper players in the zone. He's out here on Outpost Enclave, around where my point is right here. And all these players are still on the edge of zone, allowing Focus to just get deeper and tarp in a bit here. So this is really nice positioning in this lobby. And you can see that what he's done so far is he's conserved mats really, really well just by reusing that launch pad. Now, I think he plays this endgame so textbook that I'm going to let the remaining 4 minutes play out on 2 or 1x speed and just commentate over what he does. So we can see he's still relatively stacked. Storm Surge does become a factor because it is still a relatively stacked game. And the reason why I've picked this game over some of his others game, even despite him only getting 3 kills, is because it's very high elo. Now, what we see Focus do here is pop the Fizz, and immediately he gets tagged. Now, I like this because he stutters and he immediately looks to use Chug Splashes before rotating again. And this is smart because, obviously, if he was just whites, he could get tagged up. Now, it's here that he chooses to use a pad. It is a little bit laggy, but by using one of the super pads, he can just go really high in the air. He had the option to stay in the air there and glide to the next zone, which is maybe something he could have thought about. But I don't necessarily mind this positioning as he goes to the front side of zone again. My only quarry with this game so far is that he keeps playing a really low layer when he's stacked. Obviously, on low ground, that's something where you normally go where you are a less stacked player. But he does fix this when he looks to take height later in this endgame successfully. At the front side of zone here, still good mats. We're popping a Fizz to get our health back up. I like the fact we're scouting the next rotate here. It looks relatively free so far. We should probably be going very soon as we don't want to get buried. We're starting to get buried here with players all around us. That's why he's popping the Fizz, and now he's looking to go. Starts to go out, gets a bit fortunate there with the drop, not looking at any players, which is something I like. He just simply rotates in. Again, we're only using a floor and a cone, which is really good conservation of mats. We still have 900 builds, and he's literally just sitting in a cone. I like this. This is something you probably do on lower mats, but I like this because we're conserving them. He's starting to look for an opportunity here, even though he doesn't need it. Again, we pop a bit of Fizz. He sees this opportunity for a free kill. Again, that's something that you would be stupid not to take just because it's completely free. He gets himself a nice bit of refresh there with mats. Goes back for the med mist, which is smart because he knows he's starting to take white damage. Now, again, we're 103 builds. I'd really like to see us start elevating layers here. We need to get out of this low-sided zone. The Storm's on our back. There's a lot of players down here. Now we're starting to elevate, which is something I'm liking. Getting sprayed from the top. Going to use our med mist to heal up the whites. That's a good play. I like the fact we're now on an elevated layer above from all of these players on low ground because Focus doesn't need any more picks for now. He's really stacked. All we need to do is just focus on the rotate. That's exactly what he does. You can start to see he takes his first few looks up height here around the 11th zone. This would be a good time to take height. And that's why he knows he has the mat. So we're starting to look, can we take height off this player? He is in metal. Keeping a lookout, not making any moves on it yet. Decides it's not worth right now. He'll get it later in the game. Again, going back to this floor and cone, a strategy that's playing really well so far this end game. He's not using any excess mats. Rotating up the hill. We're not looking for anything right here. A little bit of replay lag there, but it's all good. And now we're starting to think, okay, how can we take height here? We still have 65 builds. We're top 10. Now is the perfect time to look to take height, in my opinion. And I know he does it in a few seconds' time. We look at our top. Now we look up to height. Okay, we see heights on wood. That means heights probably shambles. They are. 7 builds. He knows this because heights on wood. He does leave himself open there. But Focus has 63 builds. Height has nothing. He knows this because he's on wood. Focus gets the chop. The other player can't contest height now because he only has 5 builds. Perfect height take. We still have 500 mats to close out this height, a lot of them still hards as well. From this situation, we should not be losing the game. You guys can see how he's played smart as he's played the entire game, just saving his mats. He's kept his mats, and it is that mat conservation throughout the entire endgame because of smart rotates and sitting in the floor on the cone that has allowed him to be in the position where he has mats to take height, only with one refresh as well. That's how well he's conserved mats. Now we just look to spray down. He does have no way to save himself here, so I think he was banking on the fact that he could take these players out from above, which is what ends up on happening. If we put it in 2x speed, we can see that the other guy just simply suffocates down below, and Focus sprays down on him. I think he ends up going down to Storm, actually. Focus just wins this. He jumps and connects at last second, and the other player goes down to Storm right here. But the only reason Focus could take height in this game was because he had so many mats. Even at the end of the game, he still has mats, and that's with him being full tarped on height. And the reason is because he's conserved his mats so well through endgame, through just sitting in 1 and 2 builds. He got a refresh as and when he needed it, and he rotated incredibly smart without focusing on elims. They are 3 main tips which allowed him to get so deep into this game. So there we have it after the first 2 weeks. Focus is around the 1,000 mark, and Breezy, who we did last week in one of these reviews, is at 150th and could call finals. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If this wants to be you in one of these videos, make sure you've dropped a like, subscribed, and join the Discord community, link in the description down below. Click this video on screen to watch Breezy's VOD review from last week. Peace out from me.